Welcome to a new episode of the Commerce Lab by Ecomcy. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, and today we're back with the new sessions of questions and answers. As you all know, and for everybody that's joining for the first time, these sessions are going to be running every Tuesday at 5 p.m. GMT time. And in this session, basically, we're going to be covering the questions we've been receiving from the community or the last week or so. And also, we're going to use this space to also talk about news in the space, in the Amazon space, e-commerce, and business in general. So today, before I start today's session, for sure I want to mention a few news when it comes to the events in the Amazon space. So for everybody that's interested, so you guys can explore that and eventually join me there. So the first event I want to mention is going to be this Thursday here in London, Thursday, 9th of June. If I'm not mistaken, yes, that's correct. 9th of June. So that event is gonna be done retail fest here in London. There's gonna be amazing speakers in there. So actually, I'm gonna be dropping the link in the description for you to check out. I even have some free tickets for you. So if you want to, if you are in London and you want to go to this event, feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to see you there. Another thing I wanted to mention, I'm also going to be going to an event in October for everybody's here in UK. So that event is going to be in Brighton. It's going to be the MSA Fest in October. I don't have the date yet. I think they are confirming that. But as soon as I have the dates, I'm also going to be dropping that. I'm going to be speaking there and also sharing the links and everybody. So if you want to join, you can go there. Good. So let's get started with today's session. As I always do, I start bringing some of the questions the team is being collecting for the last week. And then for sure, as we start getting some questions in the live session, I'm also going to be dropping them, answering any concerns, any topic you want me to cover, anything in general. Okay, good. So let's get started and let's bring, actually we have a question here. We're gonna bring one of the first questions live, and then I'm gonna be jumping into the questions I already have assigned for this session. So the first question of the day by a Simbot. Thank you for the question, I appreciate it. How can I apply auto zoom on total sales column in business report? So I guess you in the business report, you want to see the total amount of sales. So usually what you do with the business report is that you download the report on your Amazon Seller Central account for your specific data range. So you just specify the data range you want to generate that report for. You download the report, and that report, depending on which section of within the business report section you generated, in there you can then see the amount of sales for that specific either a business as a whole, or you can even download it. If you download it from the child specification business report, it's going to give you the sales per ASIN, and that's a very good insight, so you can understand for the last week which ASIN was selling the most, the conversions, and so on. So you can use that for your internal analysis and also understanding how your business is performing overall. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. Good. We have another question live here. Nadim, thank you for the question. How can we reduce Amazon fees? Yeah, this question is actually very good because we all know that, I mean, Amazon fees are increasing. We have seen the 5% tax increase they have done. And I mean, that's just going to keep going if things go the way they're going right now worldwide. But again, just going back to your question, I think the best way you can do the best thing you can do to reduce your Amazon fees is being super efficient with your packaging and the way you send your product to Amazon, right? So I think something that I see a lot happening when people sending their products to Amazon is they are very inefficient with their packaging, right? So remember that your FBA fees are calculated based on the dimensions and also the weight of your packaging, right? So the smallest the packaging is, the lowest is going to be your fees. And actually, this is something super important when it comes to do product research. I mean, you can also analyze what your competitors have in terms of dimensions of the packaging. You can use tools out there that gives you the dimensions the Amazon has registered for those products, and you also need to make sure that you are close to those dimensions or you make them smaller. So in that way, you're also going to make sure that you can save in Amazon fees, right? Because let's say you sell the same exact product, right? But your dimensions are 5-10 centimeters off compared to your competitors. I bet that they're going to be saving a few pennies in there, sometimes even dollar plus. And then that's going to be a huge bottom line effect when it comes to your profit margin. So, number one tip to reduce Amazon fees: be super efficient with your packaging, make it the smallest possible. And also, if at the same time, if you can make it more lightweight, that's also going to help you overall. Okay, hopefully that answer your question. And also make sure you keep an eye on the dimensions of your product and the fees. So you also have tools out there, such as, for example, Helium Temp. It gives you a notification when the dimensions of a product changes, and that's super key because sometimes we have a work with people that they never identify their fees going up because there was a miscalculation of their packaging when they arrived to Amazon. And actually, you can request a new basically the measurement of your dimensions in Amazon. And what they do is basically re-measure the packaging and make sure that they are within the dimension that are realistic to what you actually send to Amazon, because if they are a bit off, your fees are also going to increase. Okay, so take that into consideration. Great. Next question from Mohammed. Thank you very much for the question, Mohammed, from being here. So, what do you recommend could be effective try to bring external traffic to Amazon? Great question. Yes, external traffic is super key, guys. Especially the last year or so, it's been super important to start bringing some type of external traffic strategy within the equation of scaling a brand on Amazon, because realistically, we all know that PPC is becoming super expensive, and because of that, basically a lot of people is finding ways to basically divert that budget towards other strategies that can give you a faster and bigger return on your money, right? So when it comes to external traffic, one of the things that is been working very well for us is working with influencer marketing, but at the same time we are very specific with the platform we work, especially the platform that have been working the best for us lately is being Amazon Live and YouTube. So just to give you the high level strategy, what we do is in Amazon Live, we identify influencers that are basically within our niche. And then what we do is we try to do a very engaging live with these influencers that they already have huge following. So that also gonna get more exposure. And then once we generate these videos, we can even use them as part of our listing, right? Because every live you do on your product listing, it stays there. So that's an extra video that's going to help with conversions, and that helps overall with the overall experience of your customers. So that's Amazon Live. And then with YouTubers, what we're doing, we're also finding YouTubers in the space that specialize on a specific niche. So for example, if we are selling a phone case, just to make the example simple, we identify people that do phone cases or reviews around phone cases, or they do the top 10 cases for the iPhone 13, right? And we make sure we give them basically an incentive so they can do this video around our product. They can use the affiliate link, and sometimes we even come to an agreement, because sometimes the percentage they get as an affiliate to Amazon is very low, and sometimes we even double or triple that percentage, and we even give them a flat fee for doing these videos. So it really depends on what is your budget and how much you can allow to put towards influencer marketing. But yes, combining these strategies for sure is very important nowadays, because what it's going to allow you to do is allow you to bring very relevant audience to your products. Because at the end of the day, when you're working with these influencers and you do the research, which for sure is the most important part, because you're going to be working with an influencer that does, let's say, pets and your products within the kitchen space. So as long as you identify the right influencers with the right amount of engagement, those people already have a high intent to purchase, right? So that means the conversions are going to be higher. And once you get the traffic to Amazon, you start generating sales from other sources that we have seen improving a lot in positioning what we call organic ranking. Okay. So yes, 100% is a strategy you guys should be exploring. It doesn't matter if you can do it on low scale or big scale, just try to start implementing some kind of external traffic. It can also be not just influencer marketing, it can also be blogging, it can be reaching out to pages that do blog reviews around specific niches, things like that. That also helps a lot. Okay. Great. So I'm gonna start bringing some of the questions that I had in the backlog here from our audience, and then we're also gonna be start covering those. Okay. Great. First question: how much inventory should I order when getting started? How many months? Usually when it comes to inventory, guys, it's very important you do a very deep analysis around your competition and your niche, right? It's super key that you understand what is your competition doing, first of all, and then from there you also want to make sure you understand what is the volume in terms of sales. I mean, how many units they are moving on a daily basis, and then from there you can make basically a prognostic of inventory and understand how many orders you need to order in the first place. So the first thing that we do is we do a broadcast and analyze what are the sales velocity of our competitors on average being for the last 3 months or so. Once we understand, okay, let's say the average amount of sales you're going to be doing when getting started, for sure you don't want to compare with the top sellers because you're not going to be there. You don't have the organic ranking, you don't have the reviews, but still you want to find a baseline, right? Once you find that baseline, we identify, okay, maybe the top sellers are doing 300 units per month. On average, the medium sellers or the ones that are getting started are doing 100, 150 units, right? Or 200 units. So if you do the math, you usually want to have at least 3 months of inventory in your hand. That means you should be starting with at least 600 units, right? So that's usually the ballpark of how you calculate inventory. And then for sure, once you start getting your initial sales, I would always advise you to connect your Amazon account with a software that can allow you to make calculation even more accurate, right? So for example, again, bringing to the table Helium 10, you connect Helium 10 to your account, and basically what you can tell the software is, okay, my lead time is 30 days, right? So that means I need 30 days to manufacture the product. Then let's say you need 20 days, which is not the case anymore with everything that's happening worldwide, but let's say 20 days for shipping, or even another 30 days. You already have 2 months just for producing and shipping, right? That means if you want to have a inventory in your hands, you need to think all these 2 months in advance. So with these software tools, you can put all these metrics inside, and the tool at the same time calculate your sales velocity on a daily basis, and it helps you calculate and notifies you when you're running low and when you should be ordering inventory. Because I understand that sometimes doing that manually, it can be confusing, and also you can lose track if you have multiple products. So I would advise you 100% to use a software for that. Okay, so hopefully that answer your question. Okay, great. Next question: do you recommend using the buying program? Yes, the buying program is very nice, but at the same time it can be dangerous. I know that from experience. We have worked with people that they have done the buying program, and unfortunately, if your product is not top quality, what I mean by top quality is that you have made sure that it does what you're saying that it does in the images and the listing. um, the whole experience is nice, the packaging, I mean, it has to provide what you're promising on your sales pitch, on your listing, right? As long as everything is in line and you know it's a great product, buying is super good, because then what you're gonna get is up to 30 amazing reviews from people that they do that for living. They're gonna be huge, long reviews. Sometimes they add video or even images, and that helps significantly when it comes to conversions. Now, the downside is that if you're selling a cheap product, just something very generic, nothing unique, it can backfire on you because they are very critical as well. So if you take that into consideration and you implement what I just said, that you just do this if you're 100% sure that your product is a winner, which you always should be sure of that from day one, because otherwise you're gonna struggle to really sell a product on Amazon, then you should be good to go. Okay. Great. Let's see which other question we got in here. Do you recommend advertising all child products or just the bestseller? Yeah, this one is also a tricky one, guys, because you might encounter yourself in a position. I'm gonna bring an example now with water bottle, which is always example I like to use because don't do that product, guys. Very saturated. Let's say you have a water bottle, right? And you're selling multiple colors. You're selling the red one, yellow, green, so on, different colors, which at the end of the day are child variations, right? What is going to happen is that at the beginning, you might not know which product is the best seller or which is the one selling the most. So at the start, I might do generic campaigns. What I mean by generics, that generic terms that don't define a color, and in there I add all my variations, right? So what I'm doing with those campaigns is I want to identify on my generic keywords such as water bottle or water bottle for gym or whatever doesn't have a description towards a color, which color perform the best naturally, right? From there, then I can identify my best sellers on generic keywords and then scale those instead of the colors that don't work. Then what do I do with the colors that don't perform? Usually on the side of that, I also gonna generate campaigns that are color specific, right? So all my generic search terms are gonna make a variation of them based on color, right? So I'm gonna make a campaign for all the red one, I'm gonna make a campaign for the yellow ones, and so on, right? On that perspective, then you're gonna be able to cover the generic spectrum of your keywords and also the specific ones by having campaigns that focus on colors. On those color ones, for sure, you're gonna have just the child that specify that color, and a generic one you wanna test it, and then eventually phase out the ones that don't work in generic keywords and just keep the colors that, regardless of the color, work very well on your generic keywords. Okay. So yes, that's usually the way I recommend doing it, and that's usually the way we have found the best results overall. Great. Next question. How do you recommend setting up brand defensive campaigns? So brand defensive campaigns, guys, are also super important when it comes to implementing a strategy within your Amazon PPC campaigns. So brand defensive campaigns basically means that you're defending the placements within your product pages to make sure nobody steals those placements from you, right? So let's put as an example that you have the same example of the water bottles, just selling multiple colors, but at the same time, you don't want people to advertise under your water bottles and to basically still sell some traffic from you. So what is the first thing that you should be doing? Very simple. For example, for the red color water bottle, you also want to be advertising under the red water bottle your other colors. So you want to make sure you basically allow yourself to dominate the most amount of placement within your product pages, so you don't leave a lot of empty space for people to steal your sales. Because I have seen this multiple times. We have seen sometimes people that went bored and they had an amazing conversion and they had amazing campaigns, and suddenly the campaigns, without touching anything, we have seen that they keep spending the same, and they keep getting the same amount of conversion when it comes to clicks and impressions, but the sales decrease significantly. And when we actually dig further, some of the times because we left the door open for our competitors to come in our listings and they start targeting to a product targeting type of campaigns. They also use product display within under the add to cart buy box, another placement within the listing. So make sure that you have the catalog to also do it, because you must have a catalog to be able to attack your own products. You target as many placements as possible within your own products. So basically you're creating a defensive campaign strategy to avoid other competitors to steal traffic for you. Okay. Great. Next question. Should I add negative keywords to my Amazon PP campaign from day one? No. Usually, the only way you should be doing this is if you know for sure that, for example, you have a competitive brand name that for sure you don't want to be targeting on, or you have some kind of insight of search terms that always keep appearing because of the nature of your product. But realistically, most of the time, we don't want to start with negative keywords, right? Because what happens is that sometimes for I bet a lot of people have seen this happening already in their campaigns, is that you have a campaign, right? And let's say you have a automatic abroad phrase and exact campaign, right? And then you see that for some reason water bottle, just to bring back this example, keeps performing phenomenally on automatic campaigns. when you try to basically move that keyword from automatic to exact a campaign to be even try to scale it, which is the thing that most people realistically will do, you see the performance drop. And then because you negated the keyword on automatic, then you might lose the momentum you're getting on automatic campaign. So realistically, you get a very good performing keyword on your automatic campaign and you move it to exact campaign, you don't want to negate it, you want to leave it there. Just make sure there is a hierarchy priority when it comes to bids, so your exact match campaign should have higher bids. And also make sure that you don't from day one put a lot of negative keyword just for because you think and you assume people are not going to shop using those keywords, because it's always better to keep all the negative keywords when it comes to compare empty and slowly fill that up as you get data. Don't try to assume, wait for the data to come in and then use that to make validated decisions around your campaigns. Okay, great. Next question. What is the best way to handle the PPC campaigns for one product that sells in 5 countries across Europe? Yes, so usually when you have a product that sells across multiple countries in Europe, and that means you need to handle multiple countries and languages at the same time, usually the first thing that you need to do for sure before doing anything else when it comes to PPC is make sure you localize your listings. That means you're fully translated and optimized for that specific marketplace. Once you do that, the next thing that you want to do is you also make sure that you identify the keywords for that specific marketplace based on criteria that you're going to be using with the software tools that you usually use on your home marketplace, right? What I'm trying to explain with this is, don't, let's say you're selling in USA or UK and you're moving to Europe, and you take all your PPC keywords and you just translate them. That's the worst mistake you can do, because most of the time a direct translation doesn't mean that the same keywords are going to be searched the same to find a purchase of intent of that specific product within that specific marketplace. So always make sure you do the localization when it comes to keyword research. And once you do that, if you want to manage multiple countries, usually I would advise you to do a hybrid approach, because usually if you're a one person van doing this by yourself, you also want to have some support when it comes to automatization. So, for example, one tool we like a lot is Atomic from Helium 10. You can integrate that with a Amazon account, and basically you can do a hybrid approach. What does it mean? You can do 50% manual optimization, more the high level, designing the campaigns, the strategy, and then you can have the software which 24/7 keeps optimizing, or at least give you suggestions, right? Because you can even just allow it to give you suggestions and then you do the manual changes. And because of that, when you're managing multiple campaigns at the same time, multiple countries, if you have a software that always keeps an eye on performance and give you suggestions based on the rules and the matrix that you decide to define for your brand and performance, it's going to be much more easier for you to manage multiple countries and campaigns. Okay, so try to do that. I'm pretty sure it should make things easier for you at least. Great. How do I add subject matter to my listing? So the way you add subject matter to your listing is actually they remove this option from your Amazon account. So if you try to do it traditionally by just going to edit listing and go there, you're gonna see most of you don't have that anymore. So the best way to do it, and the easiest for most of you, is by using also the listing optimizer tool within Helium 10 that actually allows you to override the back-end subject matters. You can also do that with flat files, but flat files might be a little more complicated, so try to do it with Helium 10 if you have it. And basically you just override the subject matters in the back end. Helium 10 allows you to go in the back door of your listing and you can add those subject matters. So we actually have found that we have indexation problems. Adding keywords in there, it also helps with indexation. So definitely take advantage of that. Yeah. Great. How long does the honeymoon period last? So the honeymoon period usually based on common knowledge in the industry is usually between 30 and 45 days. So this one, to be honest, is gonna vary significantly. I mean, it's gonna change. Sometimes we have found based on the category and the marketplace, but on average it's 30 to 45 days. So why this is important? Because that means that within the initial phase of the listing going live, you wanna make sure you put the most amount of work when it comes to driving traffic and also generate the most amount of sales, because that is gonna basically build the snowball effect of what is going to allow you to position your product higher, and over time rely less on advertising and get more sales through organic ranking. So if you combine that within your launch period, make sure you do that, because I have seen that mistake over and over again, which is they don't take advantage of the honeymoon period. And basically what happens is that as the honeymoon period start to go away, which is within the period I just mentioned, you may find yourself it's going to be much more difficult for you to rank organically and to get the same amount of exposure that you have on the initial days of your campaigns. Okay, great. I think we have time for another question. Let's see here. The search volume matters when it comes to grouping keywords on a campaign? Yes. And actually, this comes down to my advice, which is when you do Amazon PPC campaigns, you don't want to have multiple keywords. You don't want to have a lot of keywords within the same campaign, right? I have seen campaigns that have 50, 200, 300 keywords, and that, guys, is going to kill you, because at the end of the day, the keywords with the highest amount of search volume is what is going to define basically where the budget and the impressions and clicks go towards to, right? So how do you avoid that? If you have super competitive high search volume keywords, you want to have a campaign, ideally maybe for each individual keyword. Let's say you have 5 keywords that each of them have 10,000 search volume. Ideally, myself, I will have one campaign per keyword, and then you will have one campaign maybe for your medium to low search volume. And then within these campaigns, again, you still want to respect the quantity. You don't want to have more than 10, 15 keyword maximum, because then if you have a lot of keywords, it's going to happen the same. The system is going to prioritize just the top, let's say 5 keywords, and the remaining are never going to get any exposure. So keep control of the quantity. And if you have super competitive keyword, ideally move them into their own campaigns. You have better control and visibility of the metrics, so you can make educated decisions when it comes to your strategy on your PPC campaigns. Okay, great. So I think, yes, I think that's everything for today, guys. Thank you very much for sending those questions, and thank you also for the people that just joined us today live for us those questions. Very good questions. Again, remember, these sessions are going to be running every Tuesday at 5 p.m. I know these sessions may collide with some of you working because of time difference, maybe in the UK, some of you in USA, other parts of the world. So that's why we have a system that if you want to send questions for us to cover and then for you to review later, just send them to email at business@ecomcy.com, through social media channels, or even if you book a let's say a session with us on our website to ask any question or to cover any specific topic, you can also leave those questions with my team, so we cover them on these sessions every week. Okay, remember as well that every Monday and Wednesday we're gonna be dropping episode. Actually, yesterday we just dropped an episode Monday with Kathleen from Treswell, and actually it's an amazing episode. She's talking about how basically real-time e-commerce is changing the way you do business in e-commerce, how you should be using data from multiple sources to basically do data fusion and make decisions in your business. So definitely check that episode. It's actually available on other platforms, so typical YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and so on. So check those out. Okay. So yeah, that's everything for today, guys. Check out tomorrow. A new episode is gonna go live. And remember, for those Spanish-speaking audience, we're gonna do these sessions as well on Thursdays, 5 p.m. GMT time. Thank you very much for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you like this content, so we can keep reaching people like you. Let's keep in touch. Take care and have an amazing week. Take care, guys. Bye bye.